Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are right at 8:30, so we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order here. Welcome to the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Brian, and I'm an alcoholic. Just a reminder, the church is going to be undergoing some construction on this room. They're doing renovations. They're going to be redoing this whole room. That's why we don't have our usual stage out, but they're going to start that sometime in January. We're not sure the exact date, but we will likely be displaced for this meeting as a result of that, so we're kind of asking that for the upcoming weeks here, for the foreseeable future, we're going to try to come in these doors over here instead of those ones in the back. And if we don't have the meeting in this room, it's probably going to be taking place in this smaller room right behind here. You can get there through that hallway when you first come in those doors there, but we'll have people out greeting and directing, so just be aware of that. We'll probably post it on the Facebook page too if we do get displaced, so you can follow us on the Facebook page and we'll know we're in the other room there. What else we got? We got hoodies available. We don't have them up on display, but if you're interested in purchasing a hoodie, we sell them at cost to you guys. You can see me, see any home group member after the meeting if you're interested in that. And with that, I'm going to introduce the world's second best chairperson for tonight. Please help me welcome Nick.
My name's Nick. I now have a resentment. My name's Nick. I'm an alcoholic. And welcome to the final Saturday special edition Geo Ice Storm. What else can I call it? Last Saturday of 2025. Saturday night Conscious Contact Speaker of Alcoholics Anonymous. And this is a 1-hour speaker meeting. Meets every Saturday evening at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Food and fellowship starts at 8 p.m., followed by our speaker at 8:30. The business meeting for this group meets every Saturday at 7 p.m. to 7:30. Please come early and join us. The purpose of this group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God reliance and service to others through the practice and teaching of the 12 steps. We record all speakers so that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new or from out of town that would like to introduce themselves with their first name? Yes, hello. Welcome. Who's next? Yes, sir.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Jason, welcome. Yes, sir.
Corey, alcoholic.
Hey, Corey, welcome.
California.
Very welcome. Awesome. Yes, sir.
Oh, hi, I'm Ruth. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Ruth. Yes.
I'm Stephanie, alcoholic, first time here.
Hi, Stephanie. Yes, sir. Hey, Bob.
First, I'm an alcoholic. In South Carolina.
Wow. Okay. And welcome to everybody. The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship. Would anyone working in knowledge of the 12 steps and is willing to sponsor, please raise your hands. Excellent. Are there any announcements for the good of AA? We do have some hoodies available. We still have some hoodies left, so if you want an ice winter hoodie, we do have some of those available, and t-shirts, for the gym. Anybody else? Okay. There's all kinds of stuff coming up for New Year's. Come see me after the meeting if you want to get any flyers for a New Year's celebration. Some stuff in this area, and if you want to travel, there's some cool stuff going on. It's always something to do in AA on a holiday. So, our sister group is a Big Book study meeting that meets every Thursday at 7:30, and that is just up the street at the Salem UCC Church, and that is on 186 East Court Street in Doylestown, and coffee is on at 6:15. We have meeting lists and Big Books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a Big Book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge, and anyone willing to make donations for the purchase of Big Books to help those who can't afford them can put donations in a jar on the tail marked Big Book and CD donations. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown, Pennsylvania, and our Facebook group. Subscribe and share. You can find our speakers there. Join our Facebook page to keep informed, and you can share upcoming events and meetings. And now with that, we have a wonderful person to come up and read our Just for Today Prayer of Recovery. Please give Jason a nice warm welcome to read our prayer.
Hi, I'm Jason. I'm an alcoholic. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. And this is Just for Today Prayer of Recovery. Just for today, I will be agreeable. I will look as well as I can, dress becomingly, talk low, act courteously, criticize not one bit, not find fault with anything, and not try to improve or regulate anyone except myself. If you can, give a warm welcoming to Paul as he comes up to read the preamble. Brad.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Paul, alcoholic. The AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. And now I'll welcome up Daryl to read the steps.
Hi, my name is Daryl. I'm an alcoholic. Step 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so will injure them or others. Step 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Thank you.
Okay, we have a 7th tradition which states every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. And at this time, we like to pass around the baskets. We have no dues or fees, but we do have expenses. This group provides many services. Your donations cover food, rent, big books, CDs, events, and workshops. And I forgot to mention Welcome Home. Also, we have a Venmo. I'm not sure if the QR code is out back there, but come see me after if you want to make a donation. You can scan the QR code, and I'll put it right in my bank account. Okay, there's absolutely no smoking on church property. Please take a moment to silence all cell phones and try to limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. Now, to introduce the speaker, a good friend of the Conscious Contact Speaker Group. Tonight we have Julie, all the way from Neptune, New Jersey. She's going to do an Alanon AA talk, so that's kind of special. So please give Julie a nice round of applause.
Hello, friends. I'm Julie. I'm an alcoholic. I have alcoholism, and I also grew up in a family that has the disease of alcoholism, and I am an Alanonic as well. So I'm honored and privileged, really, to be asked to share my story here tonight with you. I've never shared my entire story in all of its honesty as I've understood it since I got into Alanon. So to be able to share my entire story as I see it to be true today it truly is an honor and a privilege. I share it with my sponsees often, and a fellowship has grown up among me, which is beautiful. It's really beautiful. We have an Alanon meeting at my house every Wednesday called the Sidecar. The Sidecar. My favorite thing that I've heard is that in Alcoholics Anonymous, anybody can come, but in Alanon, you have to know somebody to get here. So we host the Sidecar meeting of Alanon out of my living room, and I hope to open it up to the masses at some point. And I do have a home group in Alcoholics Anonymous. It is the Rule 62 group in Asbury Park, New Jersey. It's a young people's meeting full of life and love and laughter. and all sorts of other reasons and opportunities to practice the traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have a sponsor. Her name is Jenny Kay. She's been my sponsor since the moment I saw her big, blue, beautiful eyes. I have a spiritual advisor. Her name's Nicoletta, and she swept me off my feet the second I saw her. And I sponsor a handful of women and some men in Alcoholics Anonymous and in Alanon, and it is by far the biggest gift. I have a sponsor in Alanon. Her name is Amy. I've never met her in person. She transmitted this message to me over the phone. We didn't even do Zoom. We just straight up talked on the phone. I had another mentor in Alanon, and her name was Rachel, and she was absolutely wonderful and silly and funny and all the things that I needed at that time. And I mention those people because I would not be here without every single one of those people and many, many, many others along the way. I came into Alcoholics Anonymous in 2013, and I had my last drink in December, and I put down my last substance in April. So my sober date is April 3rd, 2013. And I just so happened to know the day that I walked into Alanon as well was May 4th, but I can't remember what year, but it's been about 6 years now. And I'm sure I'll get to that story, as it's one not to be missed. I got flung into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous straight out of the psych ward, and I got flung into the rooms of Alanon the night after I got strangled by my husband. So there is no doubt that I have earned both seats, and I truly do belong here, and I know that with every fiber of my being. So I had my first drink when I was 13, and it wasn't anything super exciting. I grew up in a fairly large house in a pretty safe neighborhood with a sliding glass door in the basement on a hill. So all you really had to do was walk down the hill around my house into the sliding glass door, and you can have any drink that you wanted, basically. And my sister's friends would just come on over all the time, go through the sliding glass door. That was the tagline. And so when I got to be around 12, 13 years old, 7th, 8th grade age, all I had to do was walk down the stairs. I didn't even have to walk around the house. I just had to walk down the stairs and peek down there. And my sister had a best friend, and she would always go, come on down, come on down. And I would go down and I would drink what I drank, and that was it. And then I would go back upstairs, and it was really no big deal. I don't know, did I get drunk? Probably. I kept going back down there. Was it doing something for me? I'm sure it was. It wasn't any sort of a light bulb moment for me. That's what she was doing, and I always did what she was doing since I was little. So that's what I did. And it was easy and it was simple. What's interesting about that time is in 7th and 8th grade is the time that I also manipulated and convinced my parents to let me go to public school. I had a best friend down the street, and she was in 8th grade, and if I could go in 7th grade, that was our only year of our whole entire lives that we were going to be able to be in the same school, and I couldn't miss it. And they let me go. And man, was that an experience. Going from a Catholic school that I was in my whole entire life into this humongous public school with all these people and all these teachers and all these things and all these lockers. And it wasn't long before I figured out I could just put the vodka in the water bottle in the locker and drink it before class. I mean, it was genius. And I would walk up to my bus stop and I would smoke a little something, and I would get on the bus and hang out with the people on the bus, and then I'd get to home group and I would see what that one was doing. That one was nodding out, you know, and I'd make sure you got the vodka in the yup. And the whole time it was just writing notes and passing notes and folding them up and sending them to each other. And that was my entire 7th and 8th grade. And I started wearing bell bottoms and dressing like how I wanted to dress. It was true freedom. And I remember I would go home and I would say to my sister, so what's your favorite song this week? And she'd be like, oh, you know, so-and-so by Courtney Love. And I'd be like, oh, perfect, thank you. And then I'd go to school and I would tell all of my friends, my favorite song is blah, blah, blah by Courtney Love. Like, it was just, what had started to happen is this life kind of was just laid out in front of me, and all I really had to do was just show up to it. It was really, really easy. There was nothing to it. I would get B's or C's, and my parents didn't seem to have anything to say about that. So I was like, well, that's perfect. And by the time I got into high school, I was back in the private school now. That was the deal. I can go to the public school for 2 years, and then I have to go to all-girls Catholic high school, and I did. And there was this small group of us, there were 7 of us, and we walked around the school as a team because we were in like the special classes. Like we didn't quite test into the school, but like maybe our family knew somebody, so we got to go to the school. So I learned really quickly there that I was privileged and I could BS and I could do whatever I wanted and make a joke out of it. And these other 6 girls were doing the exact same thing, and that's what we did. And I'm not necessarily proud of that, but it is my story and I own it because it's important. I believe today that every single thing that has gone on in my life, whether it really happened or it's my perception of what had happened, I can use that today to help other people. I was joking around with somebody I heard today, and they were quoting in the big book how as God's people we don't crawl before anyone, or whatever that line is, and I just love that. I love the freedom, just the freedom to just come up here in a room filled with people that I've seen a couple of you before, you know, and I can just come up here and tell my story as honestly as I see it today. It's incredible, it's everything. That's how I met Jenny, that's how I met my sponsor. She came up here and she told her story. And it is truly a gift. I've been to this meeting a couple times. First time we were in an SUV and there was maybe 6 or 7 of us packed in there, and we were late, and the driver, complete nut, love her to death, but my God, did she drive like an animal. And she was blasting rap music and she's like buzzing down and we pull into the parking lot, we run in here, and oh my God, it was totally crazy. And another time I came back and I wasn't the speaker, I was very happy to be sitting in the chair instead of telling my story. But so here we are. I love this group. The energy in here is phenomenal. You can tell that people are helping each other in this room. You can feel that. So there I am, and I'm drinking and I'm smoking and I'm in this private school and I have no idea what kind of song I like. My sister has gone to college now. I have nobody to go off of. I'm just kind of doing this thing where I'm talking to these girls at school, and then I'm going home and I'm getting drunk, and then I'm talking to these girls, and this is just kind of what I'm doing. And instead of, like, what we would do, instead of having, well, we would have study groups, the 7 of us, but instead of actually studying for finals or midterms, we would all get together for a couple hours in one of our homes, and with a 30-pack, and we would figure out how to cheat. We would spend the whole 3 or 4 hours on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it was. Instead of actually studying and making note cards, we would figure out how we were going to cheat, and it worked every single time. It worked beautifully, and that's how I got through high school. So I should mention that while all of this drinking and this camaraderie and this fun and this giggling and like these notes and these boyfriends and these girls, and like while all of this was kind of going on, there was an absolute, and make no mistake about it, an absolute double life going on behind my back. And I wouldn't have called it that at the time. I probably would have given you some story about how my life was so hard and nobody understood me, and you know, I'm not as good as this one, and you know, I don't compare to that one, and he gets more attention and he's younger, and But the truth of the matter is I couldn't stand being around those private school people because I just didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel good enough. There was something inside of me that when I was having a conversation with one of you, it was just going, why did you just say that? What is wrong with you? They don't care about that. What is the problem? Why are you even talking? You don't even belong in this school. How did you even get into this school? Why are you even here? And so what I would do is I would go downtown and I would find the people at the bleachers who I knew from the public school days who were doing things that, you know, shouldn't have been doing. And I would plow my way into them, and I would make sure that I was seen and heard and that I could be nice and helpful over there with them. And I was. I had the boyfriend in 7th and 8th grade, Ryan. God rest his soul. He was the largest, biggest drug dealer in my hometown at the age of 13. And I was completely in love with him. And I followed him around everywhere with those notes and those pens. And he did it. God bless him. He wrote me the notes. He drew me the pictures. He did all the things. Ryan had a very big drug problem. at a very young age, and he ended up dying from a heroin overdose. And people weren't doing heroin back then, you know, but he was. And that was just awful. So I do want to mention that because it was somewhere around the time that I got my license and all of this that's happening, that I would drive to his gravesite with my Colt 45 and whatever I was going to smoke that day, pack of cigarettes, whatever. And I would sit at his gravesite for hours and cry. And then I would go home. I'd touch up my, you know, my eyes, make sure that everything looked okay before I got home so Mom wouldn't say anything. And then I would walk home. I would go inside and I would play the role that was given to me in my family of origin. And the role was to just be very quiet. Just be very, very quiet. And so I would go up into my room and I would be quiet with my alcohol. And I had the prettiest furniture growing up, and what I would do is I would lock myself in my bedroom, and I had all the Beatles posters all over everything, and the sunflowers, and I had a couch in my room, and I had my own line, and I had an answering machine, and I smoked cigarettes in my bedroom, and I would drink Bud Light at night, and I would just crush the cans, and I would put them in my drawers, and then when my drawers would get full, I would crush the cans, and I would put them, like, in my closet, and when that would get full, I'd put them in a garbage bag, and when that would get full, I'd bring that into the basement, and I would hide it. And I found out my sister was doing the same thing. She also had garbage bags in the basement, so I was like, this is just perfect. And my mom did find the garbage bags at some point, and she made us walk them up the hill to the driveway, and that was that, you know. So this is kind of what's going on when I get here, you know, like when I get here, meaning like on this earth. Like I'm born into this family, and these things are going on about me, and I'm kind of just like getting wrapped up in all of it, and I don't really have any direction. I don't really have any like personality, like very flighty. There's a stream in my backyard. I'm just kind of going down there and writing like deep, dark poems about love and loss and suicide and being reborn and, you know, John Lennon, and like all of this stuff is just like, I'm very flighty. And by the time I got into college, you know, in my family, you apply to college and you go to college, and that's what you do. And so I remember when my sister applied to college, she had like 16 applications out on the dining room table, the fancy dining room table. My dad and her would go in there very quiet, and they would fill everything out. It was very stressful, and she would take these tests, and it was a big deal. And she got into a couple, and she had to pick which one, and what was she going to play the sport at, and it was just a very big deal. And 2 years later, I'm like, I don't know what college I'm going to go to. What college am I going to go to? And they're like, well, there's this college that's by the beach that's like an hour away from home. I'm like, great. So I applied to it, I got into it, and that's where I went, and that's it. And that's how I made my life-altering decision of going to college. And so by the time I got there and they dropped me off, I went up into my dorm room, and I distinctly remember standing there and being like, what am I going to do now? I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want to study. I don't know how to talk to people and make friends. Nobody knows my sister. You know, like nobody, like I can't hide behind anything. It's just me. And then she walked in. And my whole world was crushed. And she was absolutely Pamela Anderson, gorgeous. With a personality sweet as pie, super smart, really fancy car, lots of designer handbags and makeup and really beautiful smelling perfume and jewelry, and a mom that she got along with so well. They were like best friends, and she knew people because a lot of people from her high school went there. She knew what she was going to study. She, you know, she could handle her alcohol and have fun. Like, I was just like, I don't know what to do with that. What am I going to do? I can't be around her. Like, there was just this internal knowing that there's no possible way that I can exist with somebody like as real and energetically contagious. Like, it really shocked me. It really did. And I got very, very upset, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I went to the bar. And in the bar, I decided, without deciding, I'm going to be the Budweiser girl. And so I took the sign from behind the bar. They let me have it. It was this humongous poster, this length of my dorm room bed. And it was the 3 Budweiser horses. And they were in the snow, you know, looking all pretty. And then my desktop computer, I had a screensaver, and it was the 3 frogs that were like, Budweiser, you know, and like that was a big thing. That's what you would hear when you walked into my dorm room. I stocked my little mini fridge with Budweiser, and that's who I was gonna be. And like sorority rush time came, and I was like, nope, not joining a sorority, just gonna talk to all the sororities. And it came time for sports, and I was like, nope, don't do any of that. The writing, the tutoring, all the things, the literary magazine, like the freshman orientation that happens like the first day that you're there. I was like, not interested, just gonna be here drunk. And that's exactly what I did. It's exactly what I did. How I got through college is beyond me. I mean, I showed up. That's what I did. I showed up and I searched. Because deep down inside of me, I am a seeker. I am searching for an incredibly deep, passionate, meaningful existence. I am. And next to that, there's also the deep-seated belief that I am just not good enough. I have imposter syndrome. In fact, I don't even really belong here tonight. Am I even in AA or Alanon? Like, it's just this weird thing that exists side by side inside of me. And so I'm seeking, and I figured out and manipulated that I could take 4 classes each semester and then stay at the beach for the summer and make up the summer classes. So I never had to go home. So that's what I did. And during that time, I switched my major: philosophy, sociology, teaching. That's what I really wanted to do, was be a teacher, but I didn't have the grades for it, and I would have had to take a couple extra classes, and I wasn't gonna do that, so that just went right out the window. And then I found the boyfriend, and he also was like, he wasn't the biggest, baddest drug dealer, but he was like a drug dealer, and he was kind of bad, so I'm like, okay, he's good enough, you know, we'll take him. And I just like kind of started, you know, developing this system around me that I was comfortable with. And the thing that bothered me the most about the summer classes is that all of the people that were in the summer classes would always want to go to the beach at night. And they would always smoke the pot, and I did not smoke the pot because that just scared the heck out of me. I was way out of my element being an hour away from home. I was not going to introduce that, you know, that alcohol was just fine at that point. But we would go to the beach, and they would be having an experience with the stars or the waves or the breeze, or I don't really understand what they were having an experience with, but we would go there, we would sit on these stairs that were like really, really steep, and they would just want to sit there for hours, and I would get so resentful. I'd be like, what is the big deal? It's just this stupid beach. And I hated it, you know, and I just would leave, and I would just go to the bar, and that's where the music was, and the karaoke, and, you know, that's where I needed to be. I could hide in there, you know. I could stumble into the bathroom and hide in there for a while, or I could just hide. Like, I just wanted to just hide. And so they were having an experience, and that was probably the first time that it really clicked inside of my head. Some voice clicked inside of my head, like, something about what you're doing just, this isn't it. This isn't it. So, you know, I went about my business, and I kept seeking, and I found this communications class. And at this point, I was starting to have this pit in my stomach, like almost like that feeling of incomprehensible demoralization. Like, the things that I was participating in, the things that I was doing, the lifestyle, the choices I was making, I just started to kind of realize that I really had no idea what was going on, and I just wasn't doing it right. And I stumbled into this class, and it was called Communicational Studies, and it hit me that I had no idea how to communicate with anybody. Nobody was talking about communicating in my home. I certainly wasn't talking about it. I mean, I didn't even know what song I liked, for God's sakes, let alone what outfit I wanted to wear or anything. So that interested me. And then I find psychology. So I was like, I can do a double thing here in communication and psychology, and I can learn to communicate based on what you're thinking and just manipulate my whole rest of the way through this life. I'm like, that is perfect. Some people help me out along the way. I'll get a good job. I'll get married. I'll have babies. I'll get the house I need. I'll hide. I'll hide in my family by doing what everybody else is doing, and it's just going to be fine, because it's always just fine. And I told myself that without actually telling myself that, and I started making decisions based on that. And it wasn't going well. It wasn't going well, and I wasn't doing it right, and I was still making terrible decisions. And to kind of speed things up a little bit, you know, I ended up in my 20s. Incomprehensible demoralization. When I read that line in the big book, I knew exactly what that felt like. And nobody in Alcoholics Anonymous has ever told me what that needs to feel like. I know what it feels like for me, and you know what it feels like for you, and it is the same thing. It's incomprehensible demoralization. And I was walking right into it. Relationship after relationship, and job after job, and apartment after apartment, and animal after animal, and debit card after debit card, and overdraft statement after overdraft statement, and I just couldn't figure it out. And I was trying really, really hard. I mean, I had a corporate job. I would go into my corporate job every day looking for a sponsor, because we had cubicles, and I would talk to the women in the cubicles next to me, and I'd be like, hey, Diane, I met this guy last night, and he was really, really cute, but he said he's a coke addict. Do you think that's bad? And she'd be like, oh, I don't know. You know, we would talk. We wouldn't really talk about the cocaine problem, but we would talk about relationships in general, and I would really take her advice, you know, and oh my gosh, I was looking for a sponsor. And it just, you know, I moved one time, one of the last times that I moved before I got sober. And I remember reading this book. Before I found the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, I would read all sorts of books. And I read this book, and it mentioned a codependent and a narcissist. And I remember reading it, and it caught my attention because it says that a codependent can walk through a door, and if it's the door to a narcissist, it'll say, leave your soul at the door. And this time when I moved, how dark it is before the dawn. I just opened my door, and I told people from the street to just go upstairs and take whatever they wanted. And I sat on the porch and I drank until it was all gone. And then I took my bag and I moved in with my boyfriend and his family. It was 3 years after that. I wasn't gonna drink that night. And I drank. And when I woke up the next morning, he said, that's it, you gotta go. You gotta go. Like, you gotta really go, and you can't come back. And, you know, he sold used cars, and he was a cocaine addict. He was the cocaine addict. And he was a womanizer, and he cheated on me all the time. I'm no victim, I cheated on him all the time. And I got a deep, deep satisfaction of being treated that way. Deep satisfaction out of being treated that way, especially when I had alcohol in my system. It started back then when I was a 13-year-old girl, and that boy died. I have the perfect excuse to sit at this grave all day and cry. And with him, it was no different at 30 years old. Job failed. Family, nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. My father told me if he gives me any more money, his wife is going to leave him. He picks her. Don't call him again about it. My mom won't even talk to me. She's disgusted. My 3 siblings, you know, they went to college and they picked their major and they got jobs in that field and met somebody else in that field that they liked, treated them well, got treated well, got married, had babies, bought houses. Didn't go that way for me, couldn't do it. Desperately, desperately tried, couldn't do it. I saw that man with big blue eyes, wearing a button-down shirt, holding a 2-year-old baby, and my heart, he said, "Come here, I need your help." Oh my God. I knew right then and there I was gonna marry him. I had to. It would happen. After being with him for a week, his sister told me he cheated on me, and I was like, oh, I'll fix that. Every girl he's with is crazy. I'll be the craziest one. Oh yes, I will. He's the first one that called me an alcoholic. He said, "You remind me of my ex-girlfriend, and what she used to do was sit in the closet by herself and drink bottles of alcohol. She was an alcoholic. You remind me of her." And I was like, that poor girl. Where is she now? Is she okay? You know, just completely, that wasn't the problem. The problem was that I wasn't doing it right. I couldn't figure it out because I wasn't good enough. That's what the problem was. I was drinking to feel better because of that. And so I wasn't gonna drink, and I drank. And I woke up the next morning and he told me I had to go, and I had to go for real this time. And I hit my knees. And I said, "You can't leave. Please don't leave. I need help. I will do, please, just really, I will leave. I will not live here anymore, but I need help. Before you go to work, just please, something has to happen. I cannot do this anymore." And he found the compassion in his heart, and we sat on the couch. And that day set my life on a trajectory, you know, pivotal. It was a pivotal moment. It changed the whole course of my life that day. And what ended up happening is I went into an IOP program, and I got a really good education on what alcoholism is, drug addiction, codependency, accountability, depression, responsibility, whatever. I learned that there was like-minded people that weren't doing it right either, just like I wasn't doing it right, and we all felt really bad about it, and something in here was gonna help us. And I loved that, and I went all the time, and I was accountable. Like the first night they were like, "Pick something that you're gonna do and go home and do it and come back tomorrow and tell us about it." And I like Mod Podged a thing of a Brita, and I brought it in sparkly. I'm like, "I drank water, that was my goal." And they were like, "Yeah." And it was great, and then it was over. You know, I have 2 little brothers, and one of them, oh, he's so sweet. He stopped drinking 4 years ago, and he got better. He really did get better. It's just amazing. It's amazing. He really did. He got better. When I stopped drinking and I went in that IOP program, I got worse. I got so much worse. And that just broke me. You guys, it broke me. I already wasn't doing it right. And now, I'm not even drinking. I just went through this entire intensive IOP program, intensive outpatient, psychological, dual diagnosis, this entire thing. I Mod Podged. And I want to kill myself, actually. And I told them, I'm just gonna kill myself. And they were like, "Well, do you have a plan?" And I was like, "Yes, to kill myself when I get home." And they were like, "Well, will you do an intake?" And I'm like, "Fine." And remember, who we're dealing with, I don't know what an intake is. Okay? Don't know what it is. At this point, I don't care. I surrendered when I hit my knees in that apartment, and now I am so far beyond surrendered, I'm not even here. I do not care about anything at all. So I'm gonna kill myself when I get home, and you're telling me that I can do an intake, and I don't care what that is. Whew, well, I found out what that was, and I was upstairs in a padded room, and I was shocked that I was there, and I immediately had to get out of there. Immediately I overreacted. Immediately I'm not gonna kill myself. Like, immediately, get me out, get me out, get me out. I'll do anything, I'll do anything, I'll do anything. I mean, immediately. I didn't go to rehab, but I did go to the psych unit, and like, as soon as I got there, I was like, I need to leave now. Whatever I need to do, now. Mind you, I just spent 30 years getting to the point of getting into this psych unit, which was like the best thing that had ever happened to me. It was actually something to wake me up. Like, it was actually something, you know? I couldn't postpone it or evade it. I had gotten myself there, and I needed to be there. I begged on my knees to be there. And I wanted to claw my way out of it, and I couldn't. And the kindness of people. This nurse that I knew that I used to drink with, she saw my name on the roster, and she came down and she gave me some, you know, a little toothbrush, a hospital toothbrush, some little lavender lotion, and she was kind to me, and she made me feel like a person. And it woke me up a little bit. And I was like, all right, maybe this isn't the end. And when I got out of there, it was Memorial Day weekend. Still living by the beach. Beautiful, beautiful day. And I got out of there, and they told my dad that he can come pick me up as long as he doesn't take me back to that apartment. So my dad and his wife came to pick me up and dropped me right off at that apartment. And I don't know why I didn't go in, but I stumbled my way up the hill, and I found a big white church with a steeple on it, and I walked in, and I sat down. And there she was, with big, beautiful blue eyes, saying that when she drinks, she can't stop. And no matter what she does to tell herself she's not going to drink, she drinks again. And I had both of those things happen to me enough times to know that those are the exact words to put to my experience. She was talking about my experience. And she hooked me. You know, I met her in the back of the room. I told her I'm supposed to get a temporary sponsor. She said, I don't know what the temporary sponsor is, but I'll sponsor you. And I was like, okay. And so we've been together ever since. You know, we've been together ever since on this wild and crazy journey. And so we worked the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous out of the big book right away. We started right away, and we took the time that it took. We met once a week, and we read for an hour each time. And we took the actions at the point we were in the book. And that's what we did. And I highlighted where she told me to highlight. And she pushed me sometimes when I got a little flaky. It took me a long, so she was good. You know, she is good. She's like a militant, short little feisty one, you know? And I was about 3-4 years sober, and she started to say to me, like, you really should call Rose. You really, really should call Rose. I think you should probably call Rose. You know, Rose goes to Alanon, and they learn how to detach with love. And I think you might need to learn how to do that. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You don't do that, so I'm not gonna do that. I want what you have, I do what you do. You don't do that, I'm not doing that. What else do you have for me? And so she started her tagline, well, then turn to page 70. And when sex is very troublesome, we throw ourselves the harder into helping. We don't throw ourselves, we throw ourselves the harder. You see, it says the harder, we know you're already helping, now go help harder. And because of the loving direction of that woman, I got catapulted into Alanon at the exact moment that I needed it, despite myself. See, I had been engaged to a boy that I met at that IOP program I loved him so much. We were going to get married in a castle in Scotland. He took me to Strawberry Fields in New York and proposed to me with a ring that he designed. Oh, he's so sweet, oh, he's so sweet. And he died of a heroin overdose, and I found his body. And I had a completely different reaction than when I was 13 years old. Let me tell you that. I picked the phone right up and called my sponsor right away, and I said, he's dead. And she said, call the police, call his mother, I'll be right there, and she hung up. And that night there was about 75 people at a meeting on the third step prayer, and I couldn't understand why the meeting was so packed, and my sponsor said, they're here to see you, you idiot. They came to see you, your fiance just died. This is Alcoholics Anonymous. Go up to the front of the room and they're gonna shake your hand. And I'm like, oh. She's like, this isn't really about you, just do it. And I'm like, oh my God, what? It was crazy, crazy. All the good training that I had in Alcoholics Anonymous up until that point came into play. Boy, did it ever. I had sponsees calling me. I had speaking commitments to show up to. I was a secretary in my home group. Like, I didn't have time. So yeah, I mean, you know, I was doing it right. And it was probably about 90 days after he died that his best friend and I got together and decided we were going to have a baby. And we did. Oh yes, we did. Conceived right then and there. I can tell you the exact moment. It was intentional, consensual, and it was a long time coming. And so I carried full term. I had a beautiful little baby boy named after his daddy, Junior. Not the name I picked, but that was okay. I love him. I love him all the same. Love him so much. And he was born the day after my fiance's death anniversary. And we got married a year after my son was born. And there had been signs, you know, there were some red flags, but Alanon is just, it's so gentle. It's so gentle. I have forgiven myself for all of the decisions that I made in my time of grief. And I've used every single moment to help other women and men to come into the light. So when I finally went to my first Alanon meeting, Rose was not there. She was not there, but she told me about it. And it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and you know, I had gotten strangled the night before. It was a little chaotic, and I had a 1-year-old child, and I went to stay at my again, called my sponsor on my way out the door. He just strangled me. Okay, get the dog, get the baby, come to my house. Okay, got the dog, got the baby, went to her house. So I sleep over at my best friend's house. I wake up the next morning and I'm like a mess. You know, I'm a mess, and I have this baby, and I mosey on downstairs to the kitchen, you know, I'm like, hi. She's like, what are you doing today? I'm like, what? I don't know. I was like supposed to drop the baby off at Liz's house and go to the Alanon meeting, but like now I don't know what I'm gonna do. And she's like, drop the baby off at Liz's and go to the Alanon meeting. And I'm like, oh, right, okay. So I like did just that, you know, and I like fly into this Alanon meeting and I sit down and I'm like here, and on my way out at her house, her husband yells, he's in the program as well. He goes, make sure you tell them that you're an Alcoholics Anonymous too, they love that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I feel like all prepared, you know, I'm like, I'm gonna tell them, it's gonna be great. I'm here, I've arrived. So I like catapult into this meeting, so disheveled, such a mess, so happy to be there, ready for the light, you know? And they open up the meeting and I raise my hand and I share my entire experience that happened the night before. And the leader goes, so the format of this meeting is not to share, but we're gonna read, and they just go along with the meeting. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, it's weird. Nobody came up to me afterwards, nobody greeted me, nobody was like, welcome. I just kind of like sat there, and I'm like, okay. And what I did here that meeting is If you're not sure if you like us, try 6 meetings before you decide if you like us. And I'm like, 6 meetings? You're kidding me? 90 and 90? Like, I could do 6 meetings. 5 years sober, I can go to 6 Alanon meetings, no problem. So that the way that the divorce, was developing, I could drop my son right off at his house and go to an Alanon meeting an hour away, sit in the meeting, and then drive back and pick my son up. So it was perfect, and that's what I did. And I started hearing all sorts of things that were really cool and phenomenal. Like, I didn't cause it, I can't change it, I can't cure it. Family of origin, these books, this literature, there was new literature that was exciting. There was just all of these things going on. I remember at this particular meeting, there were tissues on the table, and if somebody started crying, you don't dare hand them a tissue. They will get their own tissue if they need a tissue. Okay? So I had a sponsee at my house one time. We were at my dining room table and we're working on step 3, and I gave her some pretty bad news, and she starts hysterically crying, and I'm like, oh God, I know. And she's like, can I have a tissue? I'm like, no, no, I'm not gonna get you a tissue. You get your own tissue. Oh my God, I have tissues now. I give people tissues now. I don't, but I'll have them. And Rachel and I met Rachel, and she just, did she laugh. I mean, again, catapulting into these meetings. And I'm like in this weird space. It's like a children's something on these tiny little chairs, and people are reading. Nobody's talking about the steps, but this girl, Rachel's talking about the steps, and I can hear her, and she's got the light, and she's got the energy. And I'm like, I need her. I need her. I need the steps. I need them. I need them. Very, very sick. SOS, danger zone, need them. And so I go to get her after the meeting, and she's right when the meeting's over. People are getting up, cleaning up the chairs, they're out of here. So I fly to go meet her. I fall over a chair. I'm like, wait! And she turns around, she just starts hysterically laughing. She's like, you are so funny. And I'm like, okay, you were talking about the steps, can we do that? And she was like, oh my God, yeah, we can have a relationship call, and then we can have a step call, and we'll do this stuff, and it's gonna be great, and I have a sponsor, but she doesn't have a sponsor because we're all her sponsors, but and she just starts speaking this other language that she's so comfortable in. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but we need to do that. And I started to do that, and we did that, and we took 2 years to go through the Alanon literature. That was our experience. And it was great. I learned so much. I learned so much that was just missing, I am an alcoholic, and if I drink, this is all over for me. But because I have recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body through having a spiritual experience out of working the 12 steps out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I continuously pass it along, I have the luxury of seeing what else is out there. And for me, Alanon was a luxury until I met my most recent partner, who is also a recovering heroin addict with big blue eyes. He's sitting right there. And Alanon was a luxury for me until I had a live one, 1 year sober, barging into my apartment, wanting to step parent my child. And I was like, whoa, people die and get strangled. We need to just climb the ladder of trust. I really like you. I'll call you in 2 weeks. And he's like, flowers, coffee, you know what I mean? Everything you ever want to hear. And he's laying it on thick. And this little boy is in love with him. And I am too. Because I can't. Oh, God. So it was a luxury until it wasn't, until I was dying. Until I was dying in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and dying in the rooms of Alanon. And what dying looked like for me at that point was not drinking at a bar. It wasn't conceiving with somebody I barely knew. I looked normal. I was on a family vacation in an appropriate attire for mother in Lake George, New York, with a little money in my pocket, sunscreen, in Walmart, and I am dragging him dragging him with my debit card to the jewelry counter and saying, just buy that one on my card and give it to me in front of your family, and I will marry you. And then you can get my health insurance, and then you can get your heart checked out, and then you'll realize you're not dying, and we can live happily ever after. And he was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I need to call my sponsor. And like, I exploded inside. I'm like, what do you mean it's not? I'm telling you it's a good idea. Like, I'm telling you it's a good idea. You need to do this. And I couldn't stop. And I would feel guilt, shame, remorse, and I would wake up the next morning and I would do it again, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. And now there's this little boy watching me, and there's this man in and out of my home. And so that sponsor, I'm on the phone with her, and she's like, open up your book, turn to page 63, and read it to me in the first person. And I'm like, fine. So I'm curled up in a ball on my blue chair. I'm ugly crying. 9 years sober? 10 years sober, ugly crying, because I'm having an experience. I'm trying to arrange life to, if he only would act right, we would all be pleased. And I have enough Alanon in me now to know that it's not his fault. This is all me. I am sick puppy. I'm in danger. So I started praying. I was praying, do all the maintenance stuff. I'm very good at AA, but I was begging. I was ugly cry begging. And then I met Amy. And I was seeking. I was crying and I was seeking, because for me, praying is wonderful and it's absolutely necessary, but if I don't accompany it by action, constructive action, I'm dead. Dead. When I stop drinking, I don't get better. When I start making decisions sober, I don't get better. And it's like extreme. It's not like progress, not perfection. It's like people die and people get strangled. And like thousands of dollars in divorces happen, and like families, like it's not okay the way that I am. Without Alcoholics Anonymous in my life every single minute of every single day, and without Alanon in my life every single minute, every single day, I am not okay. So I met Amy, and Amy walked me through very quickly the big book from an Alanon perspective. And it changed everything. 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 It changed everything. And that's how I knew. You know, my AA sponsor tells me, you know, if you have strep throat and you take the antibiotic for strep throat, like that certain strand of antibiotic, like it helps the strep throat because it's the right medicine for the right disease. And Alcoholics Anonymous, I had a complete psychic change. My entire life is dedicated to insisting on giving away what I have been given. But I am not well just on Alcoholics Anonymous alone. I'm not. I have that experience. I need Alanon as well, and I need Alanon in the big book. I need them both. And I need them both every day. And I need to give them away every day. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I said in the beginning, there's a fellowship that has grown up amongst me that Amy, you know, Amy's not an alcoholic, which is so interesting. She would be like, is the craving real? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, do you really not have it? She's like, nah. But I got this. I'm like, I got that too, you know? She's like, we got the cement. So without this, without this, this experience in Alanon, I never would have gotten to know that I was born into the family disease of alcoholism. And it says here that a doctor said to us, years of living with an alcoholic is almost sure to make any wife or child neurotic. And that's in the family afterward. And you don't have to tell me that twice. That's like incomprehensible demoralization, right? But Amy showed me what neurotic means, and I'm going to read it to you, because this is what I am. Emotionally, mentally disturbed, suffer from a mental and emotional disorder that affects only part of the personality and is often accompanied by various mental and physical disturbances, such as anxieties, phobias, or abnormal behaviors. And again, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be able to tell my story in its entirety. And if you are somebody who has alcoholism and Alanonism, you're my people. It's not everybody. I mean, some people, what do you mean it's different? It's all the same. It's the same book. That's just alcoholism. That's it. It's fine. That's fine. But if you have what I have, you know it, and I know it. And I want to do this together. So with that, thank you and God bless.
Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian. I'm an alcoholic. The group would like to thank Julie first and foremost for coming out here tonight, delivering an incredible message of hope and recovery to our group here. A couple of quick announcements and we'll close down the meeting. We do have food and fellowship every week for this meeting starting at 8 o'clock. So if you want to show up early, enjoy the coffee refreshments we put out, the fellowship, feel free to do so. If you do want to get involved in service with this group, you could always always looking for help with a lot of moving parts getting this meeting set up. If you want to help us out with a little bit of service work after the meeting, we could use some help putting the chairs away. I think we're going to have to put 10 or 20 chairs in this room over here. This group is all about service. We do have several H&I commitments that we do. We have one on Sunday nights up in Quakertown. We go into a treatment center up there, so if you'd be interested in doing that, coming out and sharing a little bit of your experience, strength, and hope with the sick and suffering, they do really appreciate it. Nick has another commitment going on Wednesday nights for men at a recovery house. They're doing a big book study there, so if you can see him, see any home group member if you're interested in doing that. It is customary for us to thank our speakers. They do come here on their own time and expense, so we do usually form a line in the front here, and we thank our speakers personally. But most importantly, if you're out there and if you're new, you're suffering, be coming around for a while, and it's just not working, hang out with us after the meeting. There'll be a whole group of us closing down the meeting. We'd love to talk with you. But I'd like to thank everybody for helping out with the meetings. Thanks to our greeters, our readers, and let's thank our speaker, Julie, one more time. If you do care to join us, we have a beautiful way of closing down the meeting. We are going to circle up and close with our Lord's Prayer. If you do care to join us, we will close down with a brief moment of silence for the still sick and suffering alcoholic inside and outside of these rooms, followed by our Lord's Prayer. Our Father,